the judge in the Senzo Meyiwa murder case has come under fire for comments he made during the trial earlier today. Defense lawyer Charles Mnisi sent an email saying he would be unavailable on Monday because he would be returning from the Comrades Marathon in Durban. Linda Mnisi attended the proceedings and he joins us in studio tonight. Linda, good evening to you. And it's important that we set the context for the viewer. Advocate Mnisi was given 3 months to go and familiarize himself with the second client that he now represents in this case, accused number 1. That 3 months was for him to basically get to grips with what this case is about against this additional client. He comes back to court, he requests for extra time, much to the judge's annoyance. Now, he says he is likely to be unavailable on Monday because he'll be running a Comrades Marathon. Does Advocate Mnisi understand that there are people, there's a family here, Senzo Meyiwa's family, that is yearning for justice?
Oli, you know, whatever happened today and the comments that were made today, you know, should be viewed in context, particularly after what happened yesterday. You'd recall that yesterday there were words like dumb flying around, specifically coming from Advocate Mnisi. If a police officer did not know about, you know, the Senzo Meyiwa case, then he would be, you know, dumb and all of that, him ultimately withdrawing that, but also the heated exchange with Brigadier Bongani Ginenda, you know, where he ultimately said he's unethical and does not have self-respect. Those issues, you know, saw the judge calling for decorum. And it had the judge from yesterday reflecting on the conduct of the court officials, you know, the legal representatives that are in court, the witnesses, and everybody that is involved in this particular matter. And, you know, calling again for decorum and for respect, you know, to be afforded and accorded to each other first, but also extended to witnesses. And this morning, what we saw was the lawyer for accused number 2, Sipora Musipili, coming to court, telling the court that, well, look, after yesterday's address about court decorum, I had to go back and reflect, and I did a bit of research, and I got to understand exactly what the judge was saying, and I learned certain things, particularly when it comes to addressing each other and just being cordial to each other as court officials, which is important. And the judge reminding them that at some point, I was even addressing some of, you know, the legal representatives in this case about respecting the ranks and calling people accordingly, referring to them accordingly as brigadier, as, you know, according to your rank as a witness. And, you know, he says, I was told, you know, people refuse to obey that rule, and which is what the law says. You need to refer and respect, you know, witnesses and everybody that is in this particular court. Advocate Sipora Musipili apologizing on behalf of the defense for what happened. And, you know, Advocate Mnisi did not address that part, simply continued with cross-examination. But then, you know, the registrar speaks to the judge about a message that she had received, and the judge read that email, which essentially comes from Advocate Mnisi saying, well, he will not be available on Monday because he'll be returning from the Comrades Marathon. And firstly, the judge taking issue with the fact that, number one, he's just, you know, spoken about decorum, and here is this email where the judge, when the email says, dear colleagues, and the judge saying, I'm not your colleague, you know, and I'm simply going to be told that you won't be available for, you know, proceedings. And in light of whatever is happening here, number one, how this email is drafted, and the message just simply for the judge to be told that he won't be there for a hobby, you know, which is something that the judge, you know, took issue with. I want us to take a listen to how he reflected on the context around why, you know, he has a problem with this particular request. Take a listen.
This case, people are talking justice delayed, justice denied, 10 years, no justice. case is just dragging on. The family is distraught, the brothers, the relatives, even they accuse themselves. They've been 2 to 3 years in custody. And here's this stupid judge called Ratamokhatli. You allow a person who's representing 2 of the accused here to go and run a marathon. I must go and tell the JP. When the JP asks me, why were you not sitting, or the DJP, why were you not sitting on Monday? No, we're waiting for Advocate Nisi to come drive back to Joburg, to wherever, because he was running a marathon. This is South Africa, run by blacks. I can tell you now, even if you call me an Uncle Tom, I don't think a white advocate can have the gall to ask me that.
Sure. The judge holding nothing back there. So 2 things from that comment, Linda. The judge seems perfectly reasonable to lose his cool about him having to stop proceedings on Monday because someone is returning from a marathon, because, as he puts it, he's going to have to answer to the judge president about why there wasn't a sitting. And we know how under pressure judges are, even to produce judgments. So why has this earned him the wrath of, I suppose, the general public? But 2, what is the decision from Advocate Mnisi? Is he still going to go and run after those comments, or is he thinking about it?
Well, Koli, the judge's comments also needs to be looked at in context, in respect of what has been the discussion around decorum. And it takes us back to yesterday about respect for each other, how we address each other, how we conduct ourselves as legal professionals in this particular case. And he says, you must remember, you're reflecting or representing a certain portion of society, and people are looking at us and, looking at what we are doing, the fights that we're having in this court and what those fights are about. So you'd remember yesterday even making the comment about, a certain group of people, saying, look at how people are viewing what is happening in this case. There's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of expectation that's coming from society, and you as legal professionals who are representing a certain portion of society need to be seen to act accordingly as per what the law prescribes. Secondly, you ask about the issue of the Comrades Marathon. The judge simply said, well, he will not respond to what is contained in that email, and if he does not come, so be it. Advocate Mnisi did not indicate whether or not he will be continuing with his plans to miss court because he'll be returning from the Comrades Marathon. So we'll see, only time will tell, when Monday comes, whether or not he'll come to court and, of course, continue the legal representation. And a lot of the things here are important, Oli, in respect of this matter, but also you'd recall that there are resources that are set aside for this particular matter. There's a specific court. Yeah. A retired judge had to be called back, to come and deal specifically with this matter. That court set aside only every single day when this matter sits. There's no other matter that sits in this court. There are no postponements of other matters. It's purely for this case. So there are issues like resources that also need to be considered.
Linda Mnisi, thank you very much.